Hey guys, welcome back to the video, and welcome back to another video on Juarez Gunslinger. Now last time we finished off the Dalton brothers, so we're going to the next one. Now I want to say that the next one is Butch Cassidy's son and his kid, and Kid Curry, or Jesse James.
My own brothers died tragically as well, truth be told.
Yes. Juarez, 1868.
It was 1868, and me and my older brothers were pulling a tidy profit running cattle into Juarez, Mexico. One night after my brothers retired for the evening, I found a little poker game in a cantina with a couple of cowboys. And I just couldn't lose. I even won an old Spanish coin that had to be 100 years old. Well, I was mighty pleased with myself the next morning as my brothers and I rode for Texas. But before we crossed the border, those cowboys caught up with us. It was Johnny Ringo, Roscoe Bob Bryant, and another asshole named Jim. They wanted their money back and everything else we had, including our lives, as those boys didn't want us coming for them later. Bob put that old Spanish coin in my mouth and said, "I won't have it said that I left you with nothing, boy." Well, those horses bolted, and there we hung as those bastards rode away. The branch finally snapped under the weight of the three of us, but being my older brothers were bigger and heavier, they were already dead. And right then I swore to myself that I would avenge them. Ringo you know about. But Bob eluded me until I heard he was riding with the Wild Bunch.
What about Jim? The Waco Kid. It's the not so great train robbery.
I'd been on their trail for months, ever since they left their hideout in the Bighorn Mountains. Led by Butch Cassidy, they were a loose association of outlaws who robbed banks and trains from Colorado to Montana. Among them was the Sundance Kid, and that murderous hombre I was tracking, Roscoe Bob Bryant. They blew the bridge with the intention of forcing the train to stop.
So I don't go down that way.
Well, I assumed the Wild Bunch was likely in the still intact part of the train high above, so I had no choice but to make my way up through the passenger cars dangling down. I was determined to make that sumbitch Bob pay for what he did to my brothers.
Secret found. Let's see here. The Wilcox robbery. On the morning of June 2nd, 1899, the driver of the westbound Union Pacific Overland Flyer No. 1 sent the following message from the Medicine Bow, Wyoming. First section No. 1 held up a mile west of Wilcox. Express car blown open. Mail car damaged. Safe blown open. Contents gone. The Union Pacific Railroad office in Omaha, Nebraska responded with an over $1,000 reward for each train robber, dead or alive. Later, the Pacific Express, a company that owned the safe, made a matching offer. The U.S. government added to the pot, raising a total reward for each criminal up to $3,000, which, counting all 6 perpetrators, meant a combined reward of $18,000. Today, that's the equivalent of $380,000. 7 hours after the robbery, a specially equipped train car full of people, horses, provisions, and equipment arrived at the scene. The posse sent by the Union Pacific Railroad was not the only one. It was joined by detectives from the Burlington Railroad, the Pinkerton Agency, and an assortment of local posses looking for a rich payday. when the governor of Wyoming sent a company of the state militia that boosted the total number of people looking for those outlaws to over 100. The robbery in question was the handiwork of the hole-in-the-wall gang, which damaged the bridge in the process of blowing up the safe, and as usual, had an excellent escape plan in place. Harvey Logan, aka Kid Curry, and his mentor, George Flatnose Curry, were definitely among the robbers, and they shot one of the pursuers, Sheriff Hazen. It's impossible to say if the brains of the operation and the gang's leader, Butch Cassidy, took part in the robbery, but Harry A. Longbow, the Sundance Kid, Ben Kilpatrick, the tall Texan, and Will Carver most certainly did. Over the following dozen years, all the outlaws involved in the Wilcox train robbery met an untimely end, revolver in hand. I'll tell you something neat. Butch Cassidy is actually the inspiration behind Dutch Vanderlyn a little bit. Oh god, no.
I found the device they used to blow the tracks, so I knew I was headed in the right direction.
Man, there aren't any rangers. Good stop, Rob.
My ears are still ringing from blowing up that bridge. What'd you say?
Well, I made my way off unscathed and came upon a few members of the gang and had no choice but to dispatch them. From there, I had to negotiate an even more precarious route.
You're dead!
But first, I would need to get my ass out of there.
Yes, rangers. Gotta love them.
I jumped from the frying pan into the fire as the train was clearly fixing to fall. I had found the gang, but in order to find old Bob, I needed to fight my way forward past a whole passel of desperados. Outside, inside, any way I could, I made my way towards my prey.
Well, what about the passengers?
It was mostly a freight train, as I recall. There were no passengers aboard that day. As I mentioned before, I am not fond of heights, but I was too busy dodging bullets to worry about falling to my death. Odds were I was likely to die that day anyway, so I was determined to take down as many of those bastards as I could.
I'm gonna shoot you dead! You just brought hell.
Fast reload.
Times it was like shooting ducks in a shooting gallery. The only difference is these damn ducks shot back.
That was cool. I just deleted the cart. George Flatnose Curry. George Sutherland Curry, better known as Flatnose Curry, was a mentor for another famous outlaw, Harvey Logan. Logan, who adopted the last name on his more experienced friend, came to be known as Kid Curry, the wildest of the wildest bunch. The wildest of the wild bunch. Both men robbed banks together and later joined the famous Wild Bunch led by Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Flatnose participated in the famous Union Pacific Overland Flyer train robbery near Wilcox, Wyoming in 1899. Flatnose and Kid Curry delayed the posse formed in the wake of the robbery and killed the marshal in charge. Not a year later, Flatnose was in the business of cattle theft in Utah when his luck ran out. Bullets found him when Sheriff Jesse Tyler tracked him down. Upon hearing the news, Kid Curry decided to avenge his brother from another mother. He made his way to Utah and killed Sheriff Taylor and his deputy in a bloody shootout. Is there another one nearby? Gotta go up. We must have
I kept hoping the law would show up and give me a hand.
Like that giant Pinkerton posse that I read about. Did they come riding in, guns a-blazing to help?
No. Of course. Ryan Posse versus the Wild Bunch. It's gonna be like, nope.
Help? From the Pinkertons? No, son. I had to fight the Wild Bunch all by my lonesome, as usual.
Who the hell is that? Take cover! Retreat! Retreat! Killing everybody! I'm gonna blow your damn head!
Ooh, more secret. Hole in the Wall. Hole in the Wall was the name of a scheduled hideout, was the name of a secluded hideout in the Bighorn Mountains in northern Wyoming. It was used towards the end of the 19th century by various outlaw gangs looking to disappear. The location was ideal. It was a perfectly defensible place, nearly impossible to take by force, and equally difficult to sneak up on without alerting its inhabitants. The hideout was also well equipped and well provisioned. Permanent huts provided shelter during harsh winters. During the hole's golden years, there were even stables, a corral with animals, and a storehouse full of food, which everyone did their best to replenish. The best known inhabitants of the Hole in the Wall were without a doubt the members of the appropriately named Hole in the Wall gang, led by Butch Cassidy. They were also known as the Wild Bunch. But all sorts of criminal gangs and outlaws on the lam called the Hole in the Wall home. It's home in the wall then.
My guess is those dime novels didn't portray this as it happened, did they? Only a few stragglers were left, and I had to cut them down pronto if I was going to stay on old Bob's trail.
Bang, 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 bang. Oh, God.
Once I silenced all those guns, I went searching for my nemesis, determined to finally have my justice. But the only survivor who welcomed me was George Flat-Nosed Curry.
Who was he?
The fastest gun in the gang. Right after Sundance, I mean. And Kid Curry, and maybe Elsie Lay. Though some folks might dispute that.
Gotta focus.
On that very same day, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid decided to leave the Wild Bunch behind and decamped for South America.
See, they should have learned. They should have went to Tahiti.
They ended up living down there for many years, but I'm sure you already know all about that.
Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave this episode off. I hope you all enjoyed. I certainly did. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And, well, have a good one. Adios.